Hello. 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 It is Tuesday. You know what that means around here. It's Talk Tuesday. And I got a new face. You've probably seen him in the chat. You've seen his name before. DrewTheDamager is here. How's it going, Drew?
Hello, everybody.
It is 2 times Drew times right now. The Drew Tang clan has assembled.
Nice.
So, thanks for being here and taking time out of your night to talk something that I know is pretty. Is it your number one? Is it safe to say it's your number one game?
I would say that this game is not my number one favorite game of all time, but I think it is the best game ever made.
Oh, okay. I like that distinction because I often talk about things like that when people are like, "Oh, what's what's the best game ever or best movie ever?" And I'm like, it comes up a lot. That the example I use a lot is like Ghibli movies. People are like, "Oh, what's the best Ghibli movie?" And I'm like, "Okay, so my answer for best Ghibli movie is Spirited Away, but Princess Mononoke is my favorite." So I see the distinction there. So that's totally fair. Welcome. The kids are asleep. Welcome everyone. I hope you enjoy this segment / show that I like to call Experience Share. Now, this is probably the game or piece of media that I know the least about, and I'm also the most ashamed about never playing or experiencing. So the whole point of Experience Share, and really the experience point in general, for those who don't know, who anyone's new here, who from Drew's stream, welcome. This is kind of a little segment or show where I'm like, hey, I know you're super into this thing. I'm not super into this thing or into this thing at all. So here's the floor. Gush about your favorite thing, and then hopefully the passion infects me, and it's something that will make me, kind of force me to actually play. So without any more delaying, I will say the game that we're talking about today is called Chrono Trigger. It's a really obscure JRPG that no one's ever heard of. Definitely not popular in the least. And I'm definitely, like I said, not ashamed at all that I've never played it. So here's what I know about Chrono Trigger. So obscure.
I'm ready.
I know, right? So I know it's a JRPG on the Super Nintendo, Super Famicom. Chrono who? Welcome, Freya. Yeah, I know. People are going to learn a lot today about this game that, I guess it maybe is popular. So the things that I know are it's a JRPG on the Super Nintendo. The art, or at least character design, was done by Toriyama, and that is unmistakable. R.I.P. Toriyama-san. And it deals with time travel.
Yes.
And I think if I saw art of 75% of the cast, I could probably identify them. Like, oh, that's a Chrono Trigger character. The characters who I know are Chrono and Frog. That's literally it. I know that the frog is named Frog. And I know that there's, I guess, a boss named Magnus or Magus.
Magus. Yep.
And I know that his theme music slaps.
A lot of the music in the game slaps.
Yeah. Ermagerd, Burstern? Oh, Boston. That's funny.
Yeah, right.
yeah. I saw wicked good. It's wicked good to have you here. Let's get started here. I'm so sorry. I'm legally obligated to do it at least once. The only other thing I know, speaking of the music, is the Secrets of the Forest track. Incredible. I think that's what it's called, right? Secrets of the Forest? Is that the one?
Maybe. I'm not too sure on the track names themselves.
Okay.
I know more like areas and like the characters that each track is connected to.
Okay. So I was one time when I was it was a really warm night and I was walking home. Actually, it was the first night that, not to get all mushy, but that's my life. I was actually walking home from the first one-on-one hangout that I had with Polisa before we were even together, and it was this
Yep.
like amazing encounter, like super serendipitous, one of the strongest connections, maybe the strongest connection that I've ever felt with another person so relatively shortly. It was amazing. It was like a summer warm night, and I was like listening to music on YouTube, just like chill video game music, and then like a kind of remix of that song from like the forest area of Chrono Trigger came on with like rain sounds and wind, and it was just like, it was so, I was like, oh my god,
That's
the music
cool.
of this game is amazing. I guess I should probably play it. And this was like 3 years ago, and I still haven't. So so that is the extent of my knowledge of Chrono Trigger. So I will say, I like to start these by saying what, or asking what your experience was the first time you played it, what kind of hooked you, and why is it still, your number one best game, if not your favorite game?
So my experience with the game would start probably in 1988.
Whoa, wait, how old is this game?
Yes, so it came out in 95,
Oh, okay.
right? When I was a little kid, when I was a real little kid, I had a Atari 2600.
Nice.
I had games like River Raid and Maze Craze and a bunch of other games that nobody's ever heard of that is less than 43 years old.
Yeah, just like Chrono Trigger, very very obscure games.
Right. And when I finally got around to getting a Nintendo, I discovered games like Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior.
Okay, aka Dragon Quest.
Dragon Quest, yeah, because back then it was called Dragon Warrior.
Right.
And I fell in love with those games. I always liked, ever since those days, I've been into like story-based games.
Robo is best boy. Welcome, Parallax. I don't know if he is, but I'm hoping to find out.
Robo is absolutely best boy.
Nice. And it's Toriyama, so like his mechanical designs are always the best. Like I watched most of Sandland, and just like the aesthetic is just unmistakable. I love it. But sorry, continue. So 1988, you're digging Dragon Warrior. What has that really been? See, I normally feel old, but I was like 88 was a year before I was born. So
yeah. Oh yeah. That was way back. I was 8 years old then.
Okay. Wow.
So I started getting into games like that, where like the JRPGs and things where you actually had to read dialogue. And it was great for me because my parents were always like, you should read. And I'm like, I am reading, look.
Oh my God, that's so great. Yeah, that was Pokemon for me.
Right?
It's like, read a book.
Yeah,
I'm like, how about a 60-hour adventure where I do nothing but reading?
Right? Yeah. So I was always into those kind of games. I never really had a whole lot of money when I was a kid, and neither did my family.
Yeah.
So I rented a lot of games. I didn't actually own very many games.
Okay. Blockbuster?
Oh yeah, Blockbuster and Hollywood Video.
Nice.
All the way.
Hey, welcome, Shadowed Mage.
Hey, Shadowed, what's happening? So now we'll fast forward to when I finally got around to getting a Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, didn't have a lot of money, rented a lot of games.
Yeah.
Right? And like I said, I always liked the JRPGs. I always thought they were cool. I went to the rental store, and I saw this one sitting there that said Chrono Trigger. I knew nothing about it except for the box art. It was cool as shit.
Yeah. That's the one where Chrono is like jumping off of the frog's back, and his like sword's on fire. Yeah, I had a friend, one of my childhood best friends had a poster of that art, and I was like, yo, what is this Dragon Ball Z game?
Oh, it's so fucking cool.
Yeah, iconic.
One of
the, maybe the most, I don't know about the most, but one of the most iconic cover arts of all time.
Fun fact about that, it's completely wrong.
Really?
It is 100% completely wrong.
What?
The area that they are in that picture, because it's Chrono, Frog, and Marl.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the three characters. When you get to that point, Frog isn't in your party yet,
Really?
so he can't be with you. I believe Marl is shooting fire, which she doesn't do. She does ice magic.
Oh wow, that's so funny.
And Chrono is wearing a coat that never appears in the game.
So was it just concept art or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and they were like, "This still slaps so hard. We
Yeah.
are not getting rid of this."
They're like, yeah, this image is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
That we're just gonna use it as the box art. We don't care that it's all wrong.
Yeah, and we can get to this when we talk about mechanics, but I didn't realize that that's basically showing you what the team attacks look like. Where like, Chrono's jumping off of the frog sword, and then, is it Marl?
Marl, yeah.
She's shooting fire to light the sword on fire, and it blew my mind as a kid. I was like 13 when I saw the poster for that. I was like, that's so cool. There's no way you can actually do that in the game, though. Little did I know.
Yeah, I believe it was the first game to ever do that.
Yeah.
Where you could do where you could wait, because I think it was the first game with the little the little time gauge, which would tell you like how long it was until your character, like it was your character's turn.
Oh yeah, like the ATB, like Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, so I think it was the first game with that. I know Final Fantasy VI has that.
Okay.
But that's the version that I'm playing, which is the remake version. So the original might not have had that, but I think Chrono Trigger was the first one to ever do that.
Oh, you mean the remake of Final Fantasy VI?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that has the active time thing.
Yeah.
Like the little gauge. But I think Chrono Trigger was the first one to actually have that in the game.
Nice. Yeah, Final Fantasy VI is one of those ones that I keep hearing. People who like know my tastes in things are like, you would love Final Fantasy VI. And I'm like, I know I probably would, but I find it so hard. And this is one of my main reasons why I haven't gone back and played Chrono Trigger. I find it really hard to go back and play older, especially JRPGs, because even like just within like the Persona series, which I love.
Yeah.
I started at 3 because that's when it got like, started to get popular over here, and people are like, oh yeah, are you gonna go back and play 1 and 2? And I'm like, nope, because I hear that they play like crap. I'm not saying Chrono Trigger plays like crap, but going backwards in time, for some reason, particularly with RPGs, just like there's like such a friction and tension there in my mind. I'm like, I get frustrated, and stuff like isn't explained as well as I needed it to be, and like I barely like was able to go back and play. I played Earthbound for the first time maybe 5 years ago, and I did end up loving it, but it was hard getting that momentum going. I was like, oh my god, I feel like I'm too dumb to play this, and I'm like I don't like what I needed to experience it. I felt like I needed to experience it when it came out, and I was super lost, but eventually I got through it, and I started to really enjoy it. And I'm sure that's what'll happen if I play Chrono Trigger, if and when I play Chrono Trigger eventually.
It does hold up surprisingly well. It is fairly simple as far as like JRPGs go.
Okay.
There's not a whole lot of like, I played Chained Echoes recently, and which was a very good game. But it struck me as the kind of game that was like, they had a whole lot of ideas and they used them all.
Oh, okay.
And they probably would have benefited from like taking some stuff out.
Okay.
Like, because it was like just too much.
Huh. Like mechanic wise.
Yeah. There was like way too many characters, and there was this whole like shard system, and like on top of the regular magic system, and it was just like I said, they had a million ideas and they put them all in the game.
Yeah, that's good to know that Chrono Trigger is not like that, because for some reason that's kind of what I imagined it was, and I was like, this feels complicated.
No, it's pretty simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, chalk one up. That's 1 point. I have to hit a certain amount of points to say that I'll officially play it. That's not true at all. It's completely arbitrary. The points are made up, and nothing matters. Just like, whose line is it anyway? So it came.
I will say too that, speaking of holding up, it does hold up surprisingly well as far as like social commentary.
Okay. I like
which
that.
usually you don't get a whole lot of social commentary in fantasy games.
Yeah.
But you got to remember this game came out in 1995,
Wow.
and there is a playable bisexual character
Wow.
that is like, it's not, they don't like make a big deal out of it or anything. She's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm attracted to men and women. And they're
Okay.
like, cool.
Nice. Like,
And
just
then
normalize it.
yeah, and then there's a non-binary character,
Wow.
which again they like don't really like. There's one comment where they first meet it, they are one of the villains,
Okay.
and they meet this character for the first time, and they're surprised, and one of them says, "Oh, you're a man? I thought you were a woman." And the character says something along the lines of man, woman, what difference does it make? Power is beauty, and I have the power.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
And that's it. Like that, they don't. There's no other commentary on it or anything, which is surprisingly like forward thinking for a 1995
Especially
game.
for a 1995 game from Japan.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome though. And they don't make it like I'm thinking of Final Fantasy VII, where it's like the Don Corneo mansion, where it's like played for like to be like, oh yeah, gay men are creepy and they're all sexual deviants and predators, and it's also so funny that Cloud wears a dress. Ha ha ha. You know, it sounds like they just play it off normal.
That was handled so much worse in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
That came out 2 years
A couple years later. Yeah. At least the remake, they don't do any of that, which is good. They're just like, yeah, actually, like Cloud kind of seems into it. It's like,
oh, really?
He's like, yeah, there's a scene where hey, wait, so you haven't played it, right? I think last time we talked about it.
I have not played the remake. No.
Okay. So
I've played 7 like 1,000 times, but
there's a scene where I think it's Tifa sees him in the dress for the first time, and she's like, Cloud, and he's like, killing it. I know. Let's go. Or he says something like, yeah, I'm slaying, basically. I'm like, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So at least they handled it better this time around.
Oh my God. Yeah. You statistically have to. Like, there's not many ways they could have made it worse.
Yeah, that's true.
So it comes out in 95, and you're fresh a few years off of the heels of Dragon Quest, and you're like, oh, similar art style, I'm sure. Like, did you think that they were related? Because when I was a kid, I was like, is Dragon Quest and Dragon Ball Z and Chrono Trigger, are they all the same thing? Like Blue Dragon? I was like, anything that I saw with Toriyama related to dragons, I was like, are these all supposed to be the same universe? And my brain wasn't open up to realize, like, yeah, artists can work on different things that aren't all the same thing.
I had no idea, because at the time there was Dragon Warrior, and there was a Dragon Warrior anime that came on Saturday mornings.
No way.
Yeah, I think it only had like 1 or 2 seasons. And then there was Chrono Trigger. And in 1995, I was 15 years old. So I thought that pretty much anything that was anime was done by Toriyama.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I just thought, like, I didn't see a distinction between like Toriyama and anybody else.
Wow, you're like
I just thought all anime was like that.
Anime's anime. That anyone with spiky hair has got to be drawn by Toriyama.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's so funny. I didn't even realize that anime was a thing until like after I had like, you know, I watched like Pokemon came out, I watched that, Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon and all the like the 90s anime. And it wasn't until I think like Toonami where they were like, because they actually named what anime was on that, you know, Peter Cullen would be like, the new anime on Toonami, and I'd be like, anime, what's that? And then I realized like, oh my God, these are all Japanese. Is that why when I watch Power Rangers, like all the scenes with Rita, the voice doesn't match up because it's actually dubbed over?
Yeah, her lips don't match up.
Yeah,
weird.
I was like, oh, bad you know, production design on these shows. Nope, this show has existed previously, and we are basically just colonizing it.
Yeah, like when I was younger, there was two kinds of anime. There was Toriyama
Hmm.
and everything that was more cartoony, and then there was like what I would call more realistic stuff, like Akira
Yeah.
and Ninja Scroll, anything that didn't have like chibi stuff in it.
Right. The really dark, violent ones.
Yeah, yeah. Like those were the only two kinds of anime. Like that was the only distinction that I had.
Yeah, that's
So
totally.
I never realized that like that Toriyama like did certain things.
Yeah.
I just thought all of it was
Was him.
that was just the style.
Somebody was like, "Yeah, he's the godfather of anime." You're like, "Yeah, he's made all of them."
Yeah, he's made everything.
He just invented anime. Isn't that wild? It definitely hasn't been going on since like the 50s or whenever Astro Boy came out.
Right, right. Yeah.
Is the Dragon Warrior anime any good? I'm curious.
I don't know because I haven't seen it in 30 years.
Yeah, that's fair.
35 years maybe.
Shadow. That's oh my god. That's how old I am. Or no, I can't even say that. I just turned 36. Shadowed says there's even still the general categorical difference of shonen versus seinen. Yeah, and shoujo, like all the different. Like I thought, I didn't realize when I was growing up that there were that even like the different styles of anime were a thing until I saw, like you said, like Akira, and I was like, oh yeah, it's all just kind of like cartoony, like there's a little bit of violence in Dragon Ball Z, but it's not too crazy. And then I watched Akira, and in the first like 5 minutes, people are getting like bashed in the head with crowbars and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, so they can be, yep. And there's just titties out and blood, or like Ninja Scroll, like you said, it's just like, oh my god, there's like violent sexual assault. There's like people being cut in half, and just he rips the dude's arms off, and he's drinking the blood. And I watched this at like 12 years old, and I was like, oh my god. So definitely formative in good and bad ways.
The scene that I always remember from that is when one of the dudes gets cut. They like there's a whole bunch of ninjas and they're all jumping through the air, and one of them gets cut in half, and it just shows the grass underneath him, and then it just starts raining blood.
Yeah, just pouring like the thick like red blood. Yeah, that huge dude with like the basically a sword version of Darth Maul's lightsaber, like the big ass double bladed sword that he just throws around like a boomerang and just like cuts trees and people just like their balsa wood.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, this is gonna be fucking awesome.
Yeah, that definitely opened my eyes. I haven't watched Ninja Scroll in a long time, and I think it might be a tough watch nowadays. But I ended more in the camp of like Cowboy Bebop. Like that's my favorite, which is always why I'm like, yes, every time you give me a shout out on your stream, which I'm very appreciative for. It does the I'm like,
yep,
yes.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge Cowboy Bebop fan.
Yeah, that's my number.
That show.
That's my number one. Anyway, so Chrono Trigger comes out, and what you rent it?
So Chrono Trigger comes out and I rent it. And whenever you rented games back then, there was always other people's saves on them.
Oh, right.
So because, random people would just rent the game.
Yeah.
And they'd start their own game and whatever, right? So I was never the type to, like, piggyback off somebody else's save. Like, I wanted to play the game from the beginning.
And understand what's going on.
Right, yeah. So I turned it on and I erased one of the saves and I started my new one and I put my name in there and everything. And I started playing it and I was like, I was fucking blown away because it didn't work like any other JRPG ever. The game opens up, your mom wakes you up, you're in your room, right? You get up, you can actually interact with things in the room, like you can open and close the blinds, you can pet the cat.
Nice.
It's like it's all this like interactive environmental stuff, which I thought was really cool, like, and I had never seen before.
Yeah.
And then you progress through the game a little bit more, and another thing that this one did, which was the first one to ever do it, was there's no random battles in the game.
Oh, okay, that's a big plus for me.
Yeah. There are actually I shouldn't say there are no random battles. Like 90% of the battles are not random. Like you
Nice.
can see the characters, you can see the bad guys like moving around
Yeah.
on the screen, and you can avoid them at some points.
That's one of the things that was crucial in me playing Earthbound. I was like, oh,
Yep.
I just hate random battles. Even in games that I really like Final Fantasy X, I remember hating that. Like just coming out of nowhere, and you're like, if you want to avoid them, you can. So that's like, yeah, that's like 10 points to Chrono Trigger.
There are a couple of points in the game where like you'll be in like a cave, and there'll be like a creature that digs through the ground, and like you know you walk past a certain point and like it pops up.
Yeah,
You
I think
know,
that's fine.
it's kind of random.
Yeah,
But for the most part, like all the enemies that you see are right there on the screen.
yeah, I love that.
So you kind of know what you're getting into. So that was the first time I had ever seen a game do that before.
And so for context, like what was a game that you were playing prior? Like if you can remember like other games that you were into at the time before you saw this that was like, "Oh my god, this is new. This is something totally different."
um, what was I playing before that? I don't know really. I mean, there was like Dragon Warrior and Final Fantasy, which are
Yeah.
this kind of in the same genre.
Mhm.
But as far as like other games, I don't really remember. Because like I said, it was 95.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Which was a very long time ago. I'm an old man.
I know, I feel like my hair is just turning gray as I'm thinking about this.
Right. Um,
Breath of Fire.
Breath of Fire. I actually never played Breath of Fire.
I haven't either. I always get Breath of
Uh,
Fire and Golden Sun confused for some reason.
oh, I don't get Golden Sun confused. Shadowed Mage played Golden Sun on his stream.
Nice. For the first time?
Yeah,
Oh
it
no.
was the first time.
What is that reaction? The trauma. Yeah, I guess you didn't like it.
I liked it. I thought it was great. That's like one of Shadow's favorite games of all time.
Oh, nice. How dare.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at that emoji of the guy like with his head in his hands. I thought that was like an oh my god.
I think he's saying "Oh my God" to you because you get those two confused.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, I've never played either of them, so
Golden Sun was also very good. You could have Shadow come on and talk about Golden Sun.
yeah, hey, there we go. Golden Sun's one of my faves. Nice. And what was the one that you needed it was on Game Boy Advance and you needed the sunlight?
Ooh.
There was one where it was like there was a special sensor on the game. Oh, Boktai. Oh, okay.
Boktai.
That is not what I was thinking. I was thinking it was one of those two. I was like, oh, that's definitely Golden Sun because it uses the sunlight.
That would make sense.
Yeah, it totally would. The only thing I know about Golden Sun is Isaac, and everybody wants him in Super Smash Brothers. And he has hand magic, I guess. People
He does have
always
hand magic.
get
Yeah.
those confused, and it enrages me. Okay, I'm glad. I'm glad it's not just me then. So yeah, so go ahead. So it comes out and blows your freaking mind.
Yeah, so I rent it. I'm blown away by the story is really cool. It's about time travel. It does the and this is like right in the beginning of the game, so it doesn't really spoil anything.
Mhm.
It's like within the first hour or two. It does the same thing as Back to the Future, where you know how Marty has to get his parents to fuck or
Yeah.
else like he disappears.
Yeah, that was a
Like-
great way to describe that. He's got to get his parents need to fuck. He needs to
Like
get his
Bane-
dad to absolutely rail his mother and finish inside, or else he won't be born. Yes, I do remember that.
So like basically the same kind of thing happens where like so you go back in time, a girl is mistaken for the queen, so they
Mm.
stop looking for the queen, right, who gets kidnapped. So they never go find her, so the girl never exists.
Whoa.
It's like one of those. So then you have to go on a quest about, to go find the real queen and all this stuff. It was just cool. Like I said, it did the same thing as as Back to the Future.
Yeah, and I've heard there's a part where you run over a tree with a car and it changes the mall, the name of the mall in Chrono Trigger. Yeah. I think that was Chrono Trigger, right? And then he invents rock and roll.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, okay.
So all these, like I said, the story is really cool. The visuals are really neat. Like, it looked really good for a game of its time.
Mm-hmm.
But I had rented it, so at some point I had to bring it back.
And how far in a game that long can you really get in like a weekend?
Right. Yeah, in like 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, because you're not playing it 24/7.
Yeah.
So what I did was I brought it back, and then the next week I went and rented it again.
Nice.
And luckily my save was still there, so I could progress a little bit further.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. Like someone might take it out and overwrite your progress. God.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which eventually did happen.
No.
Yeah. But basically I just kept renting the game, and I would piggyback off of other people's saves.
Okay.
That were like close to where I was in the game. So like sometimes I would have to go back like 2 or 3 hours.
Oh god.
So I was just like, I'll just play it again, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I already saw this part, but whatever. Who cares?
Probably became really familiar with this game then.
So I eventually finally got all the way through it. I never actually owned it for the Super Nintendo.
Wow.
I just kept renting it until I finished the game.
Jeez, how many times did that take?
Oh my god, I don't even remember. A shit ton.
They're probably like, yeah, let me guess, kid, another Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Just one more.
Yep.
I did that with before. I think the last game I ever rented from a Blockbuster was Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube, and I rented it like 3 times, and then so I think somebody rented it and then never brought it back, and then the store closed. So I still haven't gotten another. It's still somewhere. I still have a memory card though with my save data. At this point, I'll probably just start over if I ever play that again. Which I think there's a remake out, so I may.
How many years ago was that?
Oh god, this was probably 2005. Oh my god, that's 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
Well, I have to go pick out a nursing home. Shadowed says, trying to think of old SNES era JRPGs: Final Fantasy, Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest, Breath of Fire, Phantasy Star, Suikoden, Lunar. Actually, I don't know Lufia. I am so stoked that I think they're out now, but the Lunar remakes, because I was always interested in those. Mm-hmm. Which is weird because I had a Sega CD. I have a Sega CD. I'm looking at it right now, you dusty old piece of shit. It doesn't work anymore, and I'm still mad about it. I could have played those games, and I never did. Which I just want a remake or even a remaster of Chrono Trigger so I can play it in like a slightly upscaled graphics, maybe. Just like, can I play it on the Switch? Like, I had to play Earthbound on my phone, which was fine. That's probably what I'll do for Chrono Trigger, because I don't have a Super Nintendo. I was always a Sega kid. The N64 was my first console from Nintendo.
You don't really need it though. That's the thing.
Really?
Like, yeah. I would say it's not as graphically good as Sea of Stars.
Okay.
But it's pretty fucking close.
Mm.
Like if you can do Sea of Stars, then Chrono Trigger's not that much like more lo-fi.
Yeah. I'll check it out. I may see the bug of CRT filters caught me when I was playing last time. I was showing Polisa Sonic for the first time on my 55-inch LED TV, and I was like, oh god, ew, it looks like shit. And I was messing around with the do you know what a RetroTink is?
Yeah.
So I have one of those, and I never messed with the CRT filters because I hadn't I was on the wrong side of things for a while, which was, well, clearer is just better, right? Because I didn't really know that pixel graphics were designed to be viewed on a CRT with the scan lines and everything, because it makes them a little softer, and like depth is there more, and you can see like roundness of characters' faces in the character portraits and stuff.
Yep.
So that being said, I may play it on I may definitely play the legally backed up version of the game that I own. So maybe I'll stream it. It's a long game to stream though.
Do you follow Aiden Moore on Blue Sky?
I don't think so. The name sounds familiar though.
Aiden is buddies with Josh.
Okay.
And he's a journalist. He wrote a book called Fight Magic Items. And it's the history of JRPGs in America.
Oh, okay, cool.
But he does a lot of stuff. Like he posts all the time of old games on ACRT TV.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like he's got like, if you go to his Blue Sky, it's like a couple of like regular posts, and then you'll see like 20 different posts of just screenshots of different games that he has on.
Yeah, I think
on his actual CRT TV.
I may have seen that before. Insert the picture of the comparison of Dracula and Sympathy of the Night for how it looks on CRT versus the pixel perfect rendering. Yeah. So I've seen that one. I see Final Fantasy a lot, and there's one that I see of Peach, I think from Mario RPG maybe, with and without the CRT like filter and the scan lines, and I'm like, it's night and day. Like it's just the way that the colors blend into each other with the scan lines. I never realized. I always saw that as a hindrance or a limitation, and then somebody pointed out, it may have been Aiden from a post that I've come across, because I've come across a bunch of posts like that, and where it's like, no, these games were designed to be viewed this way, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, so the RetroShrink has a bunch of different filters for CRT, so I'll have to mess around with those.
Yeah, I will say they did a good job of upscaling it for Steam.
Oh, okay, it's on Steam. That's good to know.
Yeah, that's where I most recently played it.
Oh, okay.
So, like I said, I never had it for the actual. I never owned it for Super Nintendo.
Okay.
But I did complete it on the Super Nintendo. I did buy it for the 3DS. So I had the 3DS version.
Right. So that is the only time I ever played it. I worked at GameStop when the DSi or the DS version came out, and I had a DSi, which is why I said that was. And I played it. So I played it for like 15 minutes. So I still say that like I've never played it, even though technically I have. And the only reason it was that low was because I was working at GameStop at the time, and you could check games out. And like take a game home for like 2 days, because they want you to be able to talk about and sell the games. And the
makes sense.
DS version came out, and I was like, "Oh, sick! I'll finally play it." And then I was like, "Oh yeah," I started it up on the DS, and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, this seems pretty cool." Like nothing was really grabbing me, and then just something happened, and I just didn't play it for the rest of the time that I had it out, and I had to take it back, and I was like, I'll give it another shot someday. And this was in 2009. So Shadowed, I don't know if you were posting a link that might have gotten censored. I have links not available in the chat, but you can DM me on Twitter.
It's probably the picture of that he was talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get too many like freaking spam bots that are like, click here to get more viewers, or click here for hot nude sex. And I'm like, okay. So I had to go into a setting and not allow links. But yeah, so you rented it 74 times to beat it on Super Nintendo.
74 times to beat it on Super Nintendo.
It probably cost you more money to rent it that many times than it would have just buying it.
I probably, yeah. I did own it on the 3DS, and I'll have to put it in the Discord. But there is a picture that my wife took of me holding our oldest daughter when she was not even a year old, when she was a newborn.
Wow.
And it's me sitting on the couch, and I'm holding her in my arms like she's across my forearms,
Yeah.
and I have the 3DS in my hands, and I'm playing Chrono Trigger.
That's awesome. You're like, hey kid, shut up for a second. It's starting to get good.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I love that. So was it just the presentation? Like obviously the stuff you were saying about you could open and close the blinds and interact with the world, that's obviously gotta grab you. I assume it was presentation, story, music. You said the music's really good.
Music is incredible, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all that stuff combined that really grabs me.
Nice. High five, fellow gamer parent. Says the
Right.
kids are asleep. The kids are asleep, and it's time to play Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, it's also the fact that it did a lot of things that I had never seen in a JRPG
Okay.
before. Also, what with the no random battles, all that kind of stuff. There are, I don't really want to spoil it.
Yeah, please don't.
There are two things that happen that have now become cliche.
Oh.
But this was the first game to ever do it, so it was fucking mind-blowing when it happened.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so jealous that I didn't get to experience that, because I always get caught up playing media where I'm like, oh, okay, they're doing this trope. And oftentimes I have to like stop myself and be like, was this the first thing to do this? Was this the first movie that did this? And oftentimes it's like, yep, it was. And it's
Right,
like,
yeah.
it kind of dampens the enjoyment a little bit. But I'll try not to be like, no, cliche when I get to those scenes.
You just have to remember that it was so shocking because this shit had never happened in a JRPG or
Nice.
really any game before.
Yeah. So,
And there's two of them.
oh man.
And
So
there's two different instances that are like that.
I don't know if it was this game. Maybe you can help me out. Maybe Chat can help me out. I'm just remembering this now. I haven't brought this up on a Talk Tuesday before, I don't think. I'll have to ask Josh as well, because he's a big SNES guy too. I don't know if this may be Chrono Trigger. I kind of hope it is. There's a game that I went to a friend's house, and this friend probably would have been into Chrono Trigger because he liked Final Fantasy. And I remember him showing me on the Super Nintendo, and it was basically, it looked like it could have been Zelda, it could have been Chrono Trigger, it could have been Dragon Quest, I'm not really sure. But it was like medieval kind of setting, and your little character would like flip, the world would like flip upside down, and then you'd be like walking upside down, and it's like a kind of a dark world. I don't know, is that bringing anything to mind?
That's not Chrono Trigger.
Okay. I've had the
trying to think.
vaguest. I wasn't sure if it was like when you go into different times, like maybe it gets really dark or something, but it would like, you could flip. I don't know if you had to hit a portal or something, but it was like the whole world would flip upside down, and then it would be like, I remember light. I have the vaguest memories. I have like light, maybe tan grayish tiles, and the sun is out, and then maybe it just goes to night. I don't know if it's like you go to a dark world, but like you can flip to day and night. And I'm almost certain it was definitely pixel art. I'm almost certain it was on the SNES. So that's all right. That's one of those vague memories that I've been trying to nail down what that was for
25 years.
20 freaking years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll get there someday.
There is a darker world in Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
It's the future.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they predicted that.
Oh my god, yeah. Unfortunately, they were right. I remember I tuned into one of your streams, and it was like this awesome looking kind of post-apocalyptic hellscape, and you're like, yeah, this is the future. And I was like, okay, chalk one more up for Chrono Trigger. It's just like it keeps checking my boxes, like, oh, post-apocalyptic, all right.
Yeah, that was another thing too. It did a really good job because you go through all these different times. So you start in what they consider the present, right? and then you go back 600 years, which is like um almost like a medieval time. And then you can go back even further to like prehistoric time, but
Whoa.
then you can go way far in the future and everything is futuristic. So it was like it was it was crazy to see a game that was a fantasy game that had robots and lasers and shit like that.
Yeah.
Because there hadn't been really anything that did that
Right.
beforehand. It was either sci-fi or fantasy, and that's it.
Yeah. What year did Final Fantasy 6 come out? Was it before?
Six, I
Or
think it was right before.
okay.
Yeah,
Cuz that one
so
has
that
like
might have been
mechs and stuff.
yeah. So that might have been the first game to really kind of blend those two genres together.
Yeah.
Um,
That's cool though
but Chrono
cuz
Trigger was the first one that I played.
yeah, yeah. And probably a lot of people did, I imagine. Chrono Trigger? Hey, what's up, Onox? Welcome in. Yeah, we're talking about this very obscure JRPG, you know. I think it'll be really popular someday.
Someday, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I haven't played it, so it's not that it can't be that good.
Can't be that good,
Yeah.
yeah. No.
Honestly
Probably.
though, like Chrono Trigger is, if I had to make a top 10 list of games that embarrass me and I am most ashamed of having never played because of how much I know that I will like them, it might be number 1. Like it's got to be up there. Like there are certain games that I just never touched for some reason or another. And I think I can't think of any that I know that I will like more than more than Chrono Trigger.
Well, I will say that a few years ago there was a Japanese magazine that asked their readership. They did a poll where they asked everyone what their favorite games were from 1989 to 2019,
Hmm.
and number 3 was Breath of the Wild.
Really?
Number 2 was Nier Automata,
Yeah, hell yeah. Happy to see that.
and number 1 was Chrono Trigger.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
it's legendary.
So you had 2 games from 2017
Yeah.
and then 1 game from 1995.
95. Onox says, honestly, never finished it either. Been on my wish list, but I never knew if the remaster was well received. Are you talking about the one on Steam? Because Drew here is
Probably.
saying it's probably would you say that's probably the best way to play it right now?
Now it is, yeah.
Hmm.
It's a little shaky. The Steam version is a little shaky.
Okay.
It crashes a lot, but it's not that bad. Like as long as it has a really good autosave function.
Oh, okay, good.
So like when I played through it on stream, I'd say it probably crashed maybe once a stream.
Okay.
Which I know is not good.
Yeah.
But as soon as it would crash, I would just reboot it, and I would only be back maybe a couple of minutes.
Okay, that's good. So that's
So,
like
yeah,
exclusive to the Steam version.
yeah.
Okay. I wonder if they knew.
And
They're like, this crashes a
from
lot. Let's put an autosave in.
well, from what I understand, I guess it used to crash a lot more,
Oh no.
and they fixed it,
Jeez.
and now it only crashes kind of a lot.
Now it only crashes once every time I play it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess that's okay considering its age.
Right, yeah.
I think I am shocked for how high profile this game was, how well beloved it was, that you can't play it on, like, I mean, you might be able to play it on like the Switch Super NES emulation, but like I'm shocked that there's not a remaster like in the ways of like some of the Castlevania remasters, or a full-blown remake, like ground up. I don't know if that's something that is it so close to your heart? Is it like in the similar way that you haven't played the Final Fantasy VII remake, that you're like it's too different?
So I will say about a remake of Chrono Trigger the same thing that Carrie Elwes said about a remake of
Princess
The
Bride.
Princess Bride when he was asked,
Yeah.
"Why would you remake Perfection?"
Oh, okay. That's fair. I think that the Final Fantasy VII remake is different enough that I think it merits having it, and it's also like the accessibility of it.
Yeah.
Like Polisa had never played Final Fantasy VII, and I was like, well, we could play through the PS1 version, or we could play this new fancy shiny one. And she opted for the new fancy shiny, and I think it's excellent. I think they're both great. I don't know if I would say if you love Final Fantasy VII, then the remake, then definitely go back and play. But if you play for the Final Fantasy VII remake and you're like, that was good, I don't know if you need to. Like, I think it's enough of a replacement. But I mean, that's just me. I just like the newer. I like newer shiny things. Now, if that being said, if it had come out and sucked, I'd be like, no, like just play. But it came out and it was great, and just the presentation, it was incredible. So
I have a lot. I have a lot of nostalgia for the original one,
for sure.
and I've seen people play the remakes on Twitch.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably good enough for me.
Yeah.
Like,
I think you mean like you don't watching it a little bit is enough for you?
yeah. Like, to me, because I'm old school,
Yeah.
to me a JRPG is turn-based combat.
Mm.
And when you take that away, it kind of stops being a Final Fantasy game. I kind of felt the same way about 15.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
16 too.
I played 1 through 10.
Wow.
And except for 5 and 6.
Okay.
And then I skipped a bunch and I played 15. And by the time I played 15, it was basically not even a Final Fantasy game anymore.
Well, you mean gameplay wise?
Yeah. It wasn't like the turn-based combat. It wasn't like it was so different.
Yeah.
That, like, to me it was like, this has all the trappings of a Final Fantasy game, but it doesn't feel like a Final Fantasy,
Yeah. I'll say about 7 remake. Onox feels the same. Always got to be turn-based to be an authentic JRPG. Oh, instead of an ARPG. I think you can have I don't know. I'm speaking for someone who loves more the action side of things, so maybe I'm just biased. What I will say about the 7 remake is that you can, for the most part, kind of make it turn-based. It feels kind of more like 12. There's a mode that's like basically you play it in the style of 12, where you just pick the attacks and then they go and do it. But you can also take full control and just like move your character around. You don't have to, but you can. And I like that aspect. I think, again, my personal taste, I love Final Fantasy 15. I haven't played 16 yet because I just got the PS5. That's on my list, but I basically hear it's like Devil May Cry. And for a lot of people, they're like, oh, is that Final Fantasy? And for me, I'm like, hell yeah, bring it on, because that's just what I like. So I think I would like more of like an action, especially with the team up attacks. I would really like to see that implemented, which apparently is kind of how Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is. Like, you can do team attacks like that, where you can do like a fastball special where like Barrett will throw you up in the air and then you come down with a sword. And I'm like, you're checking all my boxes. So I would love it.
Yeah. See, that was another thing Chrono Trigger did that was unlike any other JRPG that I had ever played before.
Yeah.
I don't, like I said, I don't know if it was the first one to ever do it, but I think it might have been, where it was, you could wait for 2 of your characters for their turns to come around, and then they do an attack together.
Yeah. That's so cool. So you can do can you do either, and they're different based on which characters are in your party, right?
Yep.
That's so cool.
Yeah 2 interchangeable characters have their own thing, and then 3 interchangeable characters have their own thing.
That's awesome.
When you start getting up into the higher levels, then they start to learn one where it's all 3 of the characters at the same time.
God, that's so cool. That might be my favorite thing about this game, from what I've seen, and yet I still haven't played it. It hurts me. It hurts me. Shadowed says, I like the strategy and leisure of turn-based combat. I totally feel you there. I may prefer the action games, but I also would really like a, and I know that there are games like this, but like a newer, like the, I like sprite-based art, but I wouldn't mind a remake of Chrono Trigger that was like today's graphics. It still needs to have like a bold, probably cell shaded art style. Like I don't want to go like full realism, but I would love if it was turn based. Like I would love a game that's like that. I'm sure there are games out there. I think the newer like Fantasy Stars I think are like this, where it's like super new graphics, but it's still completely turn based. And I think the last game I played like that was probably like Final Fantasy X, where it's like, okay, I can put the controller down and think for a second and be like, okay, I'm going to have him do this. I'm going to have her do this. I'm going to, I do like that aspect as well. So I would never say that it has to have more action. It would make me play it more. I would be first in line.
Yeah, Shadow brings up a good point. Metaphor Fantasio.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. So I haven't played that. I really want to. Again, I just got the PS5, so that's definitely on my list. And especially as a Persona fan, I was like, yep, I'm in. It's Persona, but,
It's Persona, but not.
But not. Yeah, actually, so to be fair, Persona 5 was probably the last truly turn-based game that I played.
Yeah, see, and that's kind of how Chrono Trigger was. It was Final Fantasy, but not.
Yeah, but not. Yeah, I still have to play. I got the remake of Persona 3, and I'm dying to play that because it's supposed to be really good, and that's my favorite of them. Anyway, we're talking. This is how these things go here. We talk about everything and everything because you don't experience things in a vacuum. You experience things as they relate to other things and times in your life, and
right, exactly.
That to segue back into, is there a particular reason or like why is it stuck with you for so long, like still this many years later?
Why is it stuck with me? I mean, like I said, there's a little bit of the nostalgia effect because it was so shockingly good when I played it the first time.
Yeah.
But I think even beyond that, it's just like everything comes together perfectly. It's the head writer for Final Fantasy. It's the head writer for Dragon Warrior. It's the guy that did all the art for Dragon Warrior.
Yeah.
It was the guy that did the music for an untold that's still doing music for video games. Well, all of those guys came together.
Was it Uematsu?
What's that? Yes, I believe so.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, who did the music composer? No, sorry. Oh yeah. Nobuo Uematsu.
Nice.
And
I didn't know that. I guess that makes sense.
I'm gonna fuck this name up. Yasunori Matsuda.
Okay.
He was the other guy that did it. Matsuda. That was the guy that did the like the main, like a lot of the main music in it. He was the one that actually he actually slept in the recording studio while he was recording all the music for it.
Oh God, I hate hearing stories like that. They're so overworked.
It's fucking brutal.
Yeah, I heard that like the first Halo was like that too. Like everybody was just sleeping at their desks to get it out on time, and I'm like, don't do this, Microsoft. Come on.
Well, I don't even know because like back when they made games like that, they weren't under such hard deadlines as they are now. So I don't even know if it was something that he just chose to do,
or if that was just Japanese work culture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, you know better than anybody. The Japanese life-work balance is not great.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying so hard to find a company to work for that's not gonna be. They're called. I really wish they would change this name, but they're called black companies over there, where it's like mandatory unpaid overtime, and like you have to you cannot, like, there's such bureaucracy involved, like, and a lot of Japanese culture, but particularly in the work culture, where it's like you never leave before your like superior does. So, and they're the most overworked. So if they leave at 8 p.m. at night, that means you leave at 8 p.m. at night or later, and it's like
Right, yeah.
you have to go out drinking with them afterwards to like,
Oh God.
like, I guess they overwork themselves so bad and then go out and just absolutely tear it up at a bar and then just either sleep outside and then go to work the next day, or just drink away your job stress. And I'm like, oh my God, like what?
Yeah, I mean, at that point you have to, don't you?
Yeah, I guess.
It's like your stress level is so high. It's like all I can do is go drink.
Yeah, that's and I know that that's getting better, but it's still very much a thing. I saw a company that I was interested in applying for design work, and I looked on their like about us, and it just straight up says on the website, they're like, yep. They don't say we're a black company, but they basically say like, yep, there's mandatory overtime. You better be expected to like work hard. And I'm like, if they're saying this up front, that means it's awful.
Right. Yeah.
And
it's so much worse.
All the leadership are like 50-year-old grizzled ex-Yakuza looking dudes that are just like, right. They are not going to give a shit if you get anything, about anything that's not related to this job.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you had said before we started recording that you had a lot of stories or fun facts about the actual making of, so I'd love to hear those.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that was one of them. Matt Suda sleeping in the recording studio.
God.
Another one about the music. So back in the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo days, I mean, I'm sure everybody's played a Nintendo game. The music was like maybe 30 seconds and then it would repeat.
Yeah.
Chrono Trigger had full 2-minute songs.
Wow. Which for the memory limitations of the SNES that's wild.
Yeah, it was. I believe the soundtrack, they had to put it on 3 different CDs.
Whoa!
To get all of the music on there.
How do they put that on a single cart?
Which is unheard of, because yeah, exactly. How do you get that on one cartridge?
That's so wild, especially considering like I think probably the games that I know the most about of that era, the development of like was probably Mortal Kombat, and I think about like everything that they had to do to crunch down and fit everything into like a very limited space, and like to the point of we can't, like that's why palette swaps are a thing in those games. That's why Sub-Zero and Scorpion were the same. They're just different colors because it uses the same memory, and then they just have a code that tells it, oh, change this color to yellow or this color to blue, and they're the same, model basically. They just have a slightly different pose. So I can't even fathom 3 CDs worth of full music on a Super Nintendo, on a 16-bit cartridge, on a game that's what, 50 hours long.
I think you can get through it in about, if you're really cruising, I think you can get through it in about 25.
Okay.
It's not that long of a game. As far as JRPGs go, it's not really. It's under 40 hours.
Okay, that's also a plus.
And like, yeah, like generally JRPGs are, I would say the average time is about 40 hours.
Yeah, I think that's about what it took me to beat Final Fantasy VII the first time. I think like on PS1 it's probably about 40. I didn't do any of the like. I didn't grind to get the gold chocobo or do. I think I maybe fought one of the weapons. I didn't go try to find all of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, let me get through the main story. If some of the side quest stuff is compelling enough, I'll do it. But most part, I just want to get through.
Yeah, when I played Final Fantasy VII, the original one, the first time in '97, I broke the clock.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's just what your playtime was just 99999.
My playtime was 99.
Yes.
99 hours and 99 minutes.
That's awesome. I don't know if I've put that much time into anything. I mean, probably.
I bet you have and you don't realize it, because
Yeah.
I look at, like, I never thought that I played games as much as I did until I started playing on the computer, and Steam keeps track of like how long you've played.
That's true.
And
That's true.
like I'll think about the game, like I was playing like I've been playing Outer Worlds off stream.
Right.
Um and I'm like 30 hours into it, and I'm like, I just started this.
Yeah.
Like,
You're like, I'm a whole playthrough of Chrono Trigger into this game.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. I probably have between like I'm trying to think of games that I sunk the most hours into. Probably I always find a way to bring this game up. I think Phantom Dust on the original Xbox, which I'm gonna do an experience share of my own sometime. I need more people to know about this game. It's like Magic
I've
the
never heard of
Gathering.
that game.
Oh really?
Oh, really?
It's basically Magic the Gathering as a like 3D arena fighting game. So it's like you get skills and you build decks basically of all different like psychokinetic powers. So like you're going around these like crazy post-apocalyptic like modern landscapes, and you're throwing fireballs and like, you know, pulling up concrete out of the ground to use like a shield, and you know, it's just crazy psychokinetic ridiculousness. Skyrim, I played it for about 300 hours on PS3 before the DLCs even came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know one thing I know it does track the time is Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've put like 500 hours into that game. That probably the first Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, which is still my favorite game of all time. I've probably put, I don't even know.
That was a very good game.
Yeah, I've got do you remember the tattoos that he gets on his hands in that game?
I don't. I haven't played it since it came out, and
Okay.
that was when 98. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have his one tattoo. Like, it's a scar in the game, and I actually got it as a scarification tattoo. So
That's awesome.
I got it like cut into my hand, which is on my. Yeah, it was pretty gnarly. It's a huge thing that I could go into, but if you check out my there it is. I can't point down below like my personal TikTok, the Andrew the Kinsey one. There's a little story about it. It's like a 5-minute video that goes into a thing that would probably take me an hour to actually go into. But yeah, it was pretty gnarly. Actually, I drove up to your neck of the woods I went to New Hampshire.
No kidding. Nice.
To get it done, and then I spent a day, or not a day. I spent an evening in Salem, and then the next full day I spent in Boston, which is cool.
Sweet.
I went to the Black Rose, if you're familiar. I guess it's a somewhat famous like Irish pub in Boston.
I don't know if I've been there or not. Maybe.
Yeah, it was good. I got some wicked good clam chowder. I had
This
to.
is a place to get clam chowder.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like I have to. That's like going to Philly for the first time and not getting a cheesesteak. Like you just
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
you have to get the thing that they're known for. But I loved Boston, man. Like as much as I, am like, I try to do the accent, and it may seem mocking, but I assure you, it's only mimicking. It's the echolalia. So
yeah, it's it's park the car in Harvard Yard.
Yeah, there we go.
That's how you do it. And once you're done with that, you can use a tie iron to open a jar of artichoke hearts.
Artichoke hearts. Oh my god! I think we were talking about in your stream one of those times, or maybe it was mine. I don't know. That video of the two dudes from Boston seeing the sunfish. And they're like, oh my god, dude, what the fuck is that thing, bro? It's a baby fucking whale, dude.
What the fuck is that, kid?
Yeah, you're going to see something you ain't never seen before, kid. I was like, what? Are they just like this? I love that video.
Yes, unfortunately.
Oh, no. Unfortunately. Onox says, I remember I got one game over 2,000 hours. God. Although I don't remember it. I left it on when I slept. I don't know if that counts.
Yeah.
I probably put
there
several hundreds of hours into most of the Pokemon games because they track your time. I went pretty hard on those games when I was a kid. Now I'm just like, I can't get through them fast enough. I'm like, because there's so many of them. I'm like, I just want to get to the end. I just want to beat the Elite Four, and then move on to the next one.
Yeah, like I have a shitload of hours in Skyrim too. I don't know how many, but like man, how many times I've started that game over again.
Yeah. I've only played that game one time, and it was
Really?
within the last maybe 6 years. It took me that long to freaking play it. Yeah. It was one of those games where it was like, it came out and it came out like on the PS3, and I didn't have a PS3 yet. And then I got the PS3, and then they're like, new version on, like every time I got the system that it was for, they would announce a new updated version for the next system that I hadn't gotten yet. Cause I'm always behind because, like you mentioned, growing up without any money.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So it just kept getting to a point where I was like, I'll just so I finally have a PC good enough to run it, and with all the crazy mods that I want to do, because Bethesda games always come out broken as all hell. And so I have to download a bunch of mods to fix it and also make them like more palatable to what I like. Like I do the same thing for the Elder Scrolls games and the Fallout games. The mod that I have to have is kind of like a glass cannon damage mod, where it's like, I hate just sitting there and slashing a dude with my sword and having the health bar just like boop 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 boop, like trickle away. I'm like, this just breaks the immersion so bad. If it's going to be a real-time action game, I want to hit somebody with a sword and lop their head clean off. And at the same time, if I get hit by a stray arrow, I want to go down. Like I want to die from that. I want to play like more realistic.
See, I always play a sneaky archer in all those games.
Yes, yeah, totally.
So yeah, I like to just hang out in the back and just.
I love when it does
dies.
The camera like following the arrow. It's like it's so satisfying. Yeah. It's like the sniper elite bullet. Shadowed says, one video that always gets me is the Philadelphia guys who are prompted to say, yeah, Aaron earned an iron urn. Yeah, it's totally Baltimore. And I know that because my ex is from there. Actually, Polisa is too, but she moved away when she was really young. And like my ex's family would always do the like they would say Mary, like Murray. So when they would say Aaron earned an iron urn, it would be like earned an urn. And they just like, they can't, it just doesn't compute. It's like saying like Scottish, if you get a Scottish person to say purple burglar alarm, they just can't. Like they're like purple burglar alarm. And they just break, like it just breaks their brain.
Yeah, I saw there's a video that I was watching the other day on YouTube where it was a British guy and his Irish girlfriend, and he had a whole list of shit like that where he was like, "Here, can you say this?" And it was just all shit that she just couldn't pronounce.
Yeah, I love that. Onox is saying, yeah, the archery mod to do 5 times damage. That is the only way to play. I'm glad it's not just me. Like, I don't know. Or when I play Fallout, like if I shoot somebody in the face, I want them to die immediately. And at the same time, if I get shot in the face, I expect that I will die as well. Which is why I really liked in the Metro games and the Stalker games, there's like hardcore ranger difficulty modes, which you wouldn't think for a first playthrough that would be good, but I highly recommend doing that because it's like it removes the HUD. It removes like the HUD is okay, but it basically makes everybody like a glass cannon. So like you're going around and like a couple of shots and the enemies are down. And the same thing for you. You can't just run around spraying and praying because you're going to get picked off, which is how it should be. Anyway, back to the topic at hand.
I tried one of those Metro games. It was pretty good, but I didn't get too far.
I liked the first one. I got to a point where it was too scary and too difficult that I was like, so there's like weird mutated psychic enemies that can kind of like throw random objects at you. So like you'll walk into a room and suddenly like a chair will like levitate and come flying at your face, and you have to like dodge these things, and then you'll turn a corner and there'll be like this horrifying monster, that like suddenly that was invisible and is suddenly visible, and it's like in your face, and it's got like the predator mouth that it's trying to kill you. I was like, this is too, and you die immediately, especially on like the ranger difficulties. So I was like, too hard, too scary. I don't really do horror games. I'm just gonna watch somebody play this on YouTube, and I did. But I really want to play Stalker 2, which is the newest of those types of games.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've been yapping for a little over an hour. I don't want to take all your night. Are you streaming tonight after this or?
Maybe. I was actually thinking of doing maybe some Next Fest games
Oh,
because
oh,
my brain is a little bit broken from Outer Wilds.
oh, that's fair.
Because I've been playing Outer Wilds on stream, and like that's the only game that I've been playing.
Okay,
Um, and that game is a lot.
I need to play that. I keep you and Josh both talk about it a lot and are like going completely blind, and I'm like, okay.
Oh man, it is so good. And in fact, I have Shadow Mage to thank for it
Oh, nice.
because yeah, he actually bought it for me.
Oh, very
Um,
nice.
yeah, that's Shadow Mage is my boy.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know if you know, but I have a goal on my stream. I want to play through all of the Annapurna games.
Yes, I was gonna ask if you watched the thing today.
I did not. Was there an Annapurna thing?
Yeah, it was like a some kind of indie presentation that was like just a bunch of new games that they're gonna make, and there's a couple that looked interesting. There's like one with cute animals that I can't remember the name of, and there's like
Yep.
a bicycling, like a cycling game that's coming out.
Yeah.
Wheel
it was
World.
Ghost Bike, but it's Wheel World now. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, it looks cool. And I know that that's like your baby. That's your favorite developer, right? Or publisher, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so there are several games that are coming out that I want to play, but as far as the list of games that I put on the goal list, it's all pre-implosion.
Oh, right. I forgot about the oh my god, the the
Yeah,
D-Day
because
that was Annapurna.
everybody left.
Yeah.
So so basically the last game that came out before that happened was Flock.
Okay.
So that's the end of my list right there.
Oh, are you
And
not gonna play any of the new ones?
I will play the new ones, but I'm not making it a point to play them.
Yeah. Is that just like
Because
a
like yeah, there's like Ghost Bike look or Wheel World looked pretty cool. There's one called it's like a oh man, now I can't think of the name of it. Mixtape.
hmm.
Um which is it's looked like it's like a coming of age story about these I think two girls and a guy or two guys and a girl.
Hmm.
But it's almost like claymation style.
Oh, cool.
And it's got music from like Iggy Pop in it and like Susie and the Banshee. So I'm like,
Wow.
I mean, that fucking hooks me right there.
Oh yeah.
You know,
That's
um,
awesome.
it's claymation. It's a coming of age story about kids in the '90s, by the way.
Oh, hell
It's
yeah.
about teenagers in the '90s, which I was a teenager in the '90s,
Yeah.
right? And it's got a fucking kick-ass soundtrack. Yeah, I'm hooked.
You're like, yeah,
Um,
is my name gonna be on the back of the box? Because it better be. Like,
yeah, exactly.
like this seems to be made for me in particular.
Yeah. So I definitely want to play that, but the Annapurna list that I have is all pre-implosion games.
Okay. Yeah, so it was some kind of presentation today that was just like, here's all the new games that are coming out, and I actually completely forgot about the implosion. So that will be interesting to see if they remain in operation for much longer. I don't know.
I have a feeling that they are going to be a company. I believe that they are going to stay an entity.
Hmm.
I think there was a handful of games that the original team had a hand in vetting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the next wave of games that is going to be coming out from Annapurna. I think after that, I have a feeling that their quality is going to nosedive.
Womp,
Just because
womp.
it's a whole new it's a whole new team.
Yeah.
You're never going to get that same magic that you had.
Yeah, they're only
the
they're only Annapurna in name. It seems.
right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
well, what?
So like like I said, I think there's a handful of games that are going to come out that the original team, had their hands on.
Yeah.
And then after that, they're probably going to start making fucking first-person shooters or something.
Oh my god, could you imagine? There was one that was some kind of rock climbing game I saw a little while ago, and it looked like it might have been. It looked like an art style that would lend itself well to Annapurna. I don't know if it actually was though. It looks really cool though.
Was it you just saw it?
Maybe last year's Game Awards or something. I think they announced it, or during their or maybe it was Summer Games Fest, and they had that little indie showcase. I'm not sure.
It was an Annapurna game?
It looked like it might have been. I don't know if it was or not.
Was the name of it Jusant?
Oh, maybe.
That is not an Annapurna game.
Okay.
It is. It kind of looks like it's a very it's like a cozy climbing game.
Yeah, it looked cool.
It's like cell shaded almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried playing that. It ran like shit on my computer.
Oh no.
Like it seemed kind of cool. But I couldn't get it to run. It was too much.
Wow.
It was too much game for my for my system.
Oh. Do you have an all-time favorite Annapurna?
Yeah. What Remains of Edith Finch.
Oh, okay. Josh likes that one too, I think.
That's my number one favorite game of all time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll have to check that out. That's the where you're walking around an island or something, and you're kind of
So you play as Edith Finch, who is the last remaining member of her family, and she goes back to her childhood home, and you walk through the house, and you go to all of her family members' rooms, and you experience the last day that family member was alive.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking.
It's so good. It's so fucking good. I've played through it twice. And I watched Josh play it on stream.
Nice.
You can do it all it only takes probably about 3 hours to get through the whole thing.
Oh wow, okay.
And all 3 times I bawled like a baby at the end.
I already know that I will. I already know. I cry at everything. I cry at commercials. If there's a sad dog in a commercial, I'm bawling my eyes out. I literally today so I'm not a cat person. Polisa isn't either. We're both super allergic. We both prefer dogs. It's kind of a hot take, but I don't really trust cats. They're too. You never know. They'll be pet me, and then you will, and they'll bite you for it. And it's what? At least dogs are consistent, and I know that's an overgeneralization. But
it's not. I have 3 cats. You're 100%.
I say that all to say, I heard the cutest little meowing voice outside of my front door today. And I was like, what is that? I don't think any of my neighbors have cats. And then I look, and it's just the sweetest, gray cat with these bright, green eyes. And she's just so sweetly, meowing. And I was like, well, who are you? And I went out, and she was so affectionate. And she was rubbing her head in my hand, pet me, pet me. But then, and then flipping upside down, showing me her belly. And it wasn't the trap kind of okay, now if you pet me, I'm going to bite you because I'm tricking you because I'm a cat. Cats got their own agenda. They totally do. And she was so sweet. And I was like, what is happening right now? My heart was breaking, and then I had to go inside and leave her out there in the somewhat cold. It's starting to get a little bit warmer, but I was like, what is happening? I was like, I don't really like cats, but I'm literally being should I bring her inside? Which would have been awful, for both of us. But I was just I don't know. I just have a soft spot for animals, and just I feel things a lot. So I know as soon as when I play Edith Finch, especially knowing that it's so short, it's gonna be Waterworks. Oh
yeah.
Oh my god! You're talking about the family, families passing on and stuff. Did you play Spiritfarer?
Yes, that was really good too.
God, so good, but I just bawled my eyes out. And a weird story about that is my Nana, who passed away about a year and a half ago now, and that was roughly when I played it.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, so that was and great timing. Not only that, but the last animal that I had on my ship was a bird. It wasn't like a cardinal, but it was still a bird, and my Nana's favorite animals was cardinals. And I was like, okay, you got a bird, and she has like a red scarf, so I was like, kind of red bird. And then she's talking about like in her memories, she's like, oh, my husband David, and whatever. And I was like, my Nana's husband's name was David. And then I learned this character's name, which is Beverly, which is her name. And I was crying my eyes out the whole time playing it. And then you have to like let her go. Like all of them, you have these really emotional moments, and then you like take them to the other side. That's the whole point of the game. You're ferrying souls to the other side. Yeah. I could barely handle it when it was like the sister character or the uncle character, like the representations of these animals that are those characters for your main character. This one, oh my God, I had a whole therapy session afterwards. Like I was like, oh my God, like it felt like it was me actually letting her go. It was, oh my God. I'm starting to well up thinking about it.
That is the most fucking brutal coincidence I've ever heard in my life.
I know. I was like, come on. But
it's like, it's bad enough. Oh, her husband's name was David. Like,
yep. And her.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I was like, I bet
and
she
her
did
name.
This. I was like, God damn you. And I know she's laughing. She's like, yeah, well, you gotta let me go. Well, I'm glad that like Polisa got to know her a little bit, and she was the family member that I was closest with in my life that wasn't like my mom or my sister. So that was really hard, but she got to know Polisa, and the last conversation that we had before she passed, which was unexpected, unfortunately, she was saying to Polisa, she's like, well, you're a member of the family now. So I was like, oh, like, because she was kind of like the matriarch of the family, like, she's was the oldest like blood relative, and she's my mom's mom, and so yeah, so that meant a lot to me, and I'm glad that she got to meet her, and then I got to have this like moment of closure through a video game. Like,
I was gonna say, why did you play Spiritfarer?
Right, I know. So I had played it. I started playing it right when it came out, which was I think maybe like 2019, 18 maybe.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And I never finished it. And then I started playing it again, and then she passed. And then, like, I'm not even kidding, like maybe within a month or two I started playing it again, and then I came across Beverly, and I was like, you motherfuckers. like I don't know who I want to blame, like the game developers for making these choices, or the universe, or just like the timing of it. Like, it was wild.
That is brutal.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've been talking for about an hour and a half. I don't want to keep you all night, but if there's any last thoughts that you would like to share about Chrono Trigger, the floor is yours.
Go play it. It's
all right.
Really good.
See ya.
It's really, really good. And like I said, it's not like other JRPGs. Although it is kind of like other JRPGs.
Yeah.
But it was the first one to do all this shit.
Yeah. So. Other JRPGs are like Chrono Trigger. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. It's like how when Jay-Z says, "I'm your favorite rapper's favorite rapper."
Yeah.
This Chrono Trigger is your favorite video game's favorite video game.
Ooh, that is such a concise way to describe this game. And I know that. The weird thing is, I've never played it aside from like the 15 minutes that I played it. I don't really count that. I've never really played it, and I believe you, and I agree with you. Like, it is your favorite video game's favorite video game. That's awesome. Well, I will just say thank you again for coming on and taking your time. I'm sure you were like, oh my God, I have to talk about my favorite thing. I'm so not looking forward to this at all.
Oh yeah, no, I gotta gush about the greatest video game ever made. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I hate that. Yeah, and I definitely didn't have any fun listening to you talk about something that I know I will love. But yeah, thanks, Drew. Everyone who is here, who I'm sure most people who are chilling in the chat now are probably from your stream already. But please give Drew here a follow at DrewTheDamager, and you know on Twitch, or what's the best? What are you most active on? Blue Sky?
Twitch, Blue Sky, YouTube. All
Nice.
of them at DrewTheDamager.
Sweet.
DrewTheDamager. There we go.
Yeah, give Drew a follow if you are not already doing so. I would humbly ask if you give me a follow if you are not already doing so. If you'd like...
I was just gonna say, if you're here from my stream, give Andrew a follow.
I appreciate that. From one Drew to another, the Drew Tang clan, as it were.
Right, exactly.
If you want to see more content like this, I do. This is a Talk Tuesday, so I do it every Tuesday. I talk to somebody. Usually it's Josh from Still Loading Pod. Double Drew powers. Yes, thank you, thank you, Freya. And I stream Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. So Monday's Main Quest Monday. They're all themed. I play like story-based games. Right now I'm playing Steambot Chronicles, which is a great, very underappreciated. It's like Studio Ghibli with mechs. It's on the PS2.
Yes. Yeah, speaking of JRPGs, you're playing one right now.
Yeah. Tuesdays Talk Tuesdays. Usually check in with Josh from Still Loading. Wednesdays Wildcard Wednesday. That's when I play just super weird stuff where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna play Bomberman 64, or I don't know. What did I want to play? I think this upcoming Wednesday, tomorrow, I think I'm gonna play Armored Core 6 for the first time finally. But I've been wanting to just go through like GoldenEye 64 or something, and just it's whatever I feel like playing. Or if my girlfriend Police is here, then it becomes Girlfriends Days, and we'll play whatever she's playing. She's about to start Princess Peach Showtime, which looks really cool. And then on Fridays is Fighting Game Fridays, so I do that in an attempt to get myself to play fighting games because I love them, but I am not good at them anymore because I don't have the time that I used to. Right now.
What was that game that you were playing a while back where it was like Psychic Fighters or something? It was like there was a cube in the middle of the air and your characters would like fly the whole time.
Yeah, so that's Psychic Force on the Dreamcast.
Psychic Force, that was the one.
Particularly Psychic Force 2012. I think that was my number 4 on my top 10 Dreamcast games. You can see a cool little TikTok edit that I did of those games on my TikTok and my Instagram as well, at the Experience Point, TheEXPPoint, little plug there. But it's so much fun. It's like a 3D like fighting game, but you're flying around each other and you're just like doing psychic attacks, and everybody, which sounds like Phantom Dust. I'm realizing they're very similar, which is probably why I like it. But each character has like an element. So you got like there's a girl who does fire. There's like a wind character. But then there's like really interesting characters that I've never seen in games. Like there's one of the girl's powers is sound. So she'll actually send out like a little like almost like a note. Like it's a little glowy ball, but then you can put them around the arena like they're traps. And then you have a move where you'll send out like a sound wave, and if the wave of the sound hits the music notes, they'll blow up like bombs, and they'll send their own sound waves out, which can then activate all the other ones. So it's a really cool, interesting mechanic for a fighting game character that I've not seen before. But yeah,
I remember watching you play some of that on stream, and I was like, this game is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's dope, and more people need to play it. It's definitely not like the best in terms of fighting games, but I think it's really unique, and I would love a new one. But yeah, that's my spiel anyway. If you like any of what I just described, or just want to see my face and hear my voice some more while I play literally just everything, I play everything. Definitely drop a follow. I think I'm really, really close to hitting affiliate on Twitch. I have the followers. I just need more average viewers. So I need more people in here to join, and then I can. I really just want to. I want to hit that.
Yeah,
hit that goal.
What are you up to? Like 70 followers?
Yeah, I have 70 followers. So still a small following, but
are you catching up to me?
Oh, word. Nice. Well, I appreciate each and every one of you. And I guess we can call it there. I will sign off in the way that I always do, which is to say, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, go to therapy, and I always do some kind of recommendation. There's only one thing I can say today: play Chrono Trigger. Drew, any final thoughts? Anything you want to plug? Anything that you're doing that's interesting that you want to shout out before we head out?
Yeah. Speaking, two things actually. So I listened to the episode of Still Loading that you were on.
Oh, sweet, the Portal one.
Recently, the Portal one. Yeah, that you and Police were on.
Yeah, it was
and
a lot of fun.
I don't know if you can see it, but I would like to show off my shirt.
Oh my god, that's awesome. Aperture Science. I have one. It's too small for me now because I got all that COVID weight. But I have like it's like the Wordmark one where it's like the Aperture Labs with the, yeah. Excellent.
And the other thing is, I want to thank you
Aww.
for my sign off because you were saying, oh, this is my sign off, right? My sign off I actually got from you.
Wow.
Yep. So whenever I end a stream, the first thing I always say is to all the guys, gals, and non-binary pals, thank you for being here tonight.
Right. That's right.
I actually heard you say that on your stream, and I was like, I gotta fucking work. That's great. I gotta work that.
Oh man, I love that. I don't know if I'm the first person to say that, but I will take that. I appreciate that. And yeah, thanks to all the guys.
You were the first person that I heard say it. So.
Oh, I love that. That makes me happy. Yeah, thanks to all the guys, gals, and non-binary pals. We are here. I literally incorporate a rainbow as part of my branding. So this is a safe space for LGBT, POCs, and just if you're not a fucking fascist Nazi asshole, you're safe here. Well, cool. I will thank you once again for your time. Thanks to everyone who joined. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. I will be on again tomorrow with either Armored Core or GoldenEye. I've been kind of in a GoldenEye mood lately, so we will see. And I know Armored Core is gonna make me want to play it for a long time. So I'll be back on tomorrow.
I haven't played the new one, but I remember the old one. The old one was really good.
Yeah, I liked there was one, I think 4 I kind of got into on the 360. But that was the last one that I played for more than 10 minutes, and I hear this new one is incredible. So
yeah, I've heard the new one is really good.
Yeah, they definitely took what they learned making Dark Souls and put it into this, which I was like, I'm a little worried, but I'm stoked.
Right.
All right, everyone, we will see you in the next one. Thank you, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Take care of yourselves. Go to therapy. Play Chrono Trigger and Phantom Dust on the original Xbox. Good night. Love y'all. Toodaloo.